Elliotte, we were just debating whether or not this contract extension for Connor McDavid is a timeline. Your thoughts? Is it a deadline for Edmonton to win the Cup?
Yeah, well, it's not a deadline for them to win the cup, but what it is it's a deadline that we can. I think what he did here, guys, was he told everybody, "Do not take my loyalty for granted." I think he's loyal to the Oilers. I think he's loyal to the veteran group of teammates that he's tight with there: Draisaitl, Nurse, Nugent Hopkins, Ekholm, Hyman, like that group of guys. But I think the message he sent here is don't take it for granted. Don't take it like I burned to win. I think the victory at the Four Nations gave him a taste, only increased it. Obviously, the losses the last 2 years in the Stanley Cup final eat at him and make him want to win it so badly. And I think he's so possessed and so consumed by that. He says that, you know what, guys? I'm going to make sure that you're as dedicated to it as I am. I think that's what he said. I don't think it's as simple as if they don't win in the next 3 years, he's gone. But what I do think it is that it's, if you look at Edmonton, they're older. They're one of the older teams in the league, and that's really helped them. But where's the next wave? Yes, they traded for Savoy. Yes, they traded for Howard. But you can see, like, if you just look in your crystal ball, you can see there being the chance, even with McDavid and Draisaitl, for a drop-off in a couple years once Father Time, who is undefeated, starts to come in on these Oilers. And I think that's what he's saying. Like, I like where we are now, but I want to make sure where we are, I like where we are in 3 years. And that's the message that he sent here to me is don't take my loyalty for granted.
I have to say, Elliotte, it's just so nice to have another adult on the show because that just made all too much sense from the argument that Jonny and I were having because everybody thinks it's like Stanley Cup or bust. And what I'm sitting here ranting like a lunatic about is, yes, you have to be a great team to win the Stanley Cup, but there is
Mm-hmm.
circumstances around that. Guys get injured. Goaltenders especially could have issue. I mean, there's just so many things that need to go right for your team to win a Stanley Cup. And that's why it's not always the team, or it really never is the team that wins the President's Trophy that ends up hoisting it in well, I guess we're edging closer to July these days for the Stanley Cup. But let me ask you this, Elliotte, around the league, how are other GMs, players, coaches reacting to this contract? Because I made a statement on Jeff's show on the sheet yesterday that was, I
Mm-hmm.
think this is great for players in Edmonton and for Edmonton and their fans, but I think it hurts other players around the league. We read the Alan Walsh tweet about, Bob Goodnow and how he felt like salary caps would make players look greedy to fans, to media, to clubs. And I already saw yesterday everybody yelling and screaming saying Kaprizov this, Kaprizov that, and I don't agree with it.
You know what? I understand Alan's point, but part of me is like, if you're one of those people that's going to talk like that, you're going to think players are greedy anyway, right? Like to me, I don't know if a salary cap changes a lot of opinions on that. I think people are just wired a certain way. The number one thing I always believe, Colby, is that whenever I've signed a contract with my own self, I've tried to do something that will help everybody else on my team. Can I do something that moves the line a little bit or raises the bar a little bit, because it's not, very rarely is a contract negotiation only about you. It's usually about everyone. But one of the things I also believe, and I believe this very strongly, is that at the end of the day, it's your life and it's not anyone else's. And you have to do what's right by you. And I think everybody understands that sometimes you have to do things. Maybe you don't have leverage, but sometimes you have to do things that make you happy. What Connor McDavid said yesterday was, I am happy in Edmonton. I want to win in Edmonton, but I want to make sure the team is always as committed as I am. And I want to make sure that everybody there understands that my loyalty is not a blank check. So I'm going to do it this way. The funniest quote I got from someone was, they said, someone in the Western Conference, they said, I really respect McDavid for doing that, but I really hate that it allows Edmonton to be better. And, I think that's what a lot of other teams in the Western Conference would say. I quote this book all the time. I've done it a billion times on the pod. I refer to it all the time. And that is a book called The Bald Truth by David Falk, who used to be Michael Jordan's agent. And he would always talk about how just because this is someone else's situation, it doesn't mean it's my situation. And yes, I think teams are going to go to players and they're going to say, look what McDavid just did. He's the best player in the league. And if he takes less, you should take less. 100%, I believe that's going to happen. But a smart agent and a smart player, they will say, look, that's his situation. It's unique and it's not my situation. And sometimes you just have to have the courage to say that.
I think you're hinting at one specific player. I don't know if I'm reading this correctly, but I think that player might be Quinn Hughes. Because I think if this
I wasn't saying
anyone,
about anyone. I don't think I wasn't referring to anyone, but like I saw people ripping Kaprizov yesterday. People are fair to have whatever opinion they want. It's a free country, or in both of our cases, it's a free two countries in all of our cases. But people can say whatever they want, and Kaprizov, he's going to have, like, people are going to be waiting. If he doesn't play well, or he goes 5 games without a point, oh, this is what 17 million buys you. You just have to have a thick skin, and you've just got to power through. We all make our choices, and we have to do the best out of them.
I mean, Elliotte, speaking of that, you're going to see a lot on Twitter tonight. If the Pittsburgh Penguins score, you're going to see a quote saying 11.5. Everyone has been going after Igor Shesterkin now since he signed that deal last year. And then all the goalies are taking 8.5. Like, that's what comes with it. But, my last thing about McDavid for you, what will it take to have a one-on-one sit down, Connor McDavid, the decision? Because we're seeing LeBron do his second one today. And I think hockey needs that for McDavid's contract when it comes up.
Well, I'll say to him that Johnny Lazarus wants a decision if he ever leaves Edmonton, and I'll see what he tells me. And you can pick whatever is left out of my carcass on some dumpster in downtown Edmonton after I ask him the question.
I think it'd be awesome to see that on TV.
He's definitely a guy that means business. And
yeah. No, go ahead, Colby.
Go ahead, Elliotte. No, I want to hear your thought.
No.
You're giving us all this wisdom here, so keep going.
You know what? I just think I'm a huge McDavid fan. I always have been. He doesn't always like everything we ask him. And I think we've all been on the other end of that McDavid glare from time to time. But he's all about winning. And you know what, guys? I'll tell you something too. Deep down, he knows that, I'm not even sure so deep down. I don't even think he thinks it's all on the Oilers. I think he expects a lot more of himself. I'm sure that he looks at some of those games in the Stanley Cup final the last 2 years, and he says, I could have done more. So I think he comes out this year like a man possessed and has an awesome season.
Yeah, he's been talking about wanting to shoot the puck more. I think we talked about that in our division previews. It's scary for the rest of the league, an extra motivated Connor McDavid who says, I'm going to score goals, because he seemingly is the only player in the National Hockey League that can just do things at will. I mean, that's what I think separates him even from that next tier, of McKinnon and Makar or whoever you have in that top echelon of the National Hockey League. So it will be fun to watch, and there will certainly be a lot of eyes on him. But, there are other things I'd say floating around out there when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers. And now that they have an idea of what their cap situation is going to look like, they got the Wallman deal done. And obviously Knobloch, that was the announcement that you made the other day as well. Is there anybody next in Edmonton, like shoe to drop, I guess, as far as contracts go, or things that we can expect to see here in the near future?
I think Ekholm, I think that they kind of had, I think they wanted to get McDavid done before the season if he allowed it to happen, which he did. I do believe there was a real goal of getting Wallman done before the season. And I don't know if it gets done before the season, but I do think they want to get a deal done with Ekholm. And I think he wants a deal done there. And it's just a matter of they kind of had to wait till some other things got done first. Now, I've heard a couple different things on Ekholm. I've heard short-term deal. I've heard like a Chris Tanev style deal with a longer term just to get the AAV down properly. It'll be one or the other, but I think we're going to get a point where Ekholm gets signed here. I expect that to happen in the not too distant future, and I'd be surprised if it didn't.
Do you think they're going to be aggressive as far as making trades and season goes as well? Like kind of building this team out on the fly? I mean, we saw so many departures with Edmonton, this summer. Do you feel like that could be a move, or is it kind of wait to the deadline, see what we have?
No, it's interesting right now, Johnny. I don't know how much trade action there's going to be early. There's a lot of young players being given chances here, from Brady Martin in Nashville to look at all the young guys who are going to play for Pittsburgh, to Coots in Vancouver. Edmonton sent Isaac Howard down yesterday, but that I think is a paper move, and we'll see what they come up with for their game tomorrow night. I think you're going to see a lot of teams try to give some of their young guys some time. Obviously, some of them will make it, some of them won't. This is always famous last words, and it just bites me in the ass. But I don't expect a ton of trade stuff at the beginning of the year. But I do think that once these teams figure out, either you get off to a slow start and you run out of patience, or you realize, okay, this kid's not ready, then I think teams are going to start going. I think Philly's looking for D. Rick Tocchet's been pretty vocal about how he didn't like the way his D played the exhibition season. I think Vancouver's still looking for that second line center like everybody else. I think Toronto is still looking for a top six forward. They've been doing that all summer since Marner left. So I absolutely do think that Edmonton is going to be in this. For them all year, it's not even about the deadline. It's simply as in, we got to make our roster better, and we got to consistently try and make our roster better. And I just think whenever that opportunity presents itself, I mean, right now there's only one real seller, right? And that's Pittsburgh. So if the opportunity presents itself to go out and get a player, I don't know how many teams are going to be sitting there and saying, all right, we got to wait to the deadline. No, I think you're going to have to be aggressive because there's only so many of these guys available. I think the other thing, guys, that is really going to be a thing this year is the change in the CBA about the double retention. I don't know if it means we're going to start seeing guys traded 75 days before the deadline so they can get the retention again in March, but that's going to be a thing. That's, the whole salary cap, the way that gets changed from in season to playoffs, it's going to be a big adjustment for everybody this year.
Yeah, well, and it's funny you mentioned the Philadelphia Flyers as you were talking about Rick Tocchet, and not so much about the Flyers, even though I did hear a lot of rumblings around the Philly media. I live in the Villanova area, Elliotte, so I'm not far from sort of earshot of Philadelphia media, and I feel like a lot of teams, the Flyers included, were sort of keeping an eye on Kaprizov, keeping an eye on McDavid. Yep. Not that every team wasn't, but I just heard a lot about how they're just sort of secretly getting ready to make their pitch for those two players. But now these guys are all sort of getting their extensions and staying put, as we know NHL players like to do. As I was explaining to Jonny, how hard it gets to move as you start to lay down roots in a city. But what are all these teams that have been secretly hoping in their rebuilds, whether it's Chicago, whether it's Philly, are these superstars going to be available? What's plan B look like for some of these teams now that probably are a little upset here in the last 48 hours that you've seen some of these extensions come down?
Well, and you know what? I'll tell you too, Colby. I will be surprised if Eichel doesn't get done too. I still think he extends there. I just think he likes it there. They like him. I don't think
I know he loves it there,
I think
Elliotte. You're not wrong. I know
yeah,
personally that
yeah.
he loves it in Vegas.
All right. Well, I mean, I wonder how Eichel's going to feel about you bragging about your friendship with him. And to me, I mean, you guys know, like sometimes guys just battle about their worth, right? Like but I still think at the end of the day, they're going to be, he's going to get done there. And I think they've been working at it quite a bit over the last little while. Just have to get to a number that both sides are comfortable with. And I think Vegas kind of budgeted 25 million for Eichel and Marner. And, I just think right now it's over that and we'll just see who bends a bit. But, like I'm trying to figure out, the offer sheet thing. I always wonder, when do we get to the point where somebody takes another whack at a big player? I think Carolina this summer, they took a long look at Bouchard and Edmonton locked him down. They did it with Keandre Miller and they worked out a deal. I think teams were really nervous about McKenna this year, and nothing he did last weekend in Arizona State changed anybody's mind. But I do think eventually the more these guys come off the boards, I just think that someone's going to feel the pressure to do it. I know we make this prediction every year, and almost every year it turns out to be wrong. But the values are going up, the prices of going to games are going up. Eventually, that pressure is going to get to somebody. It just will. The question is, I'm 55 now. Am I going to be alive to see it? Am I going to be saying this for 10 more years? Like you're looking at the groups. Like I'll tell you now, in 2028, and that's a long time from now. Look who's unrestricted that summer. It's McDavid, it's Matthews, it's Werenski. Now, do you think we get a chance where any of those guys are UFAs, or is it a crazy summer? Like, I know, like, it's funny. People are down on the insiders right now because we said it would be a crazy summer and it was bland as hell. So I
It's all your
better
fault,
stop making
Elliotte.
predictions.
It's all your fault.
Yes, it is. Maybe we better stop making predictions.
I mean, this happens time and time again, though.
Was it Paul Holmgren who did it with Weber? Was that like the last like monumental one with Philly and Nashville? I don't remember like a monumental size one since there, but you'd probably know that better than me.
Well, I mean, that was obviously a massive, massive one. I mean, Carolina and Montreal did it to each other with, Kotkaniemi and Aho. That was interesting because those ones kind of came out of nowhere. And like I said, Carolina last summer threatened it. And I've said this too. I heard like right before McTavish signed, someone told me there was a team out there that was trying to get a draft pick back that they traded because they were thinking about doing McTavish. But at the end of the day, they decided not to. And it wasn't Carolina. I think Carolina made it pretty clear it wasn't them. But I think there was another team out there that was thinking about it. But Anaheim got McTavish done, number one. And number two, guys, I honestly think that aside from the Hurricanes, there's a lot of teams terrified that they trade that McKenna pick this year. They just want no part of that. No part of that.
Interesting. There are a lot of things too, Elliotte, that Colby and I have kind of been discussing yesterday. I think you mentioned Pittsburgh being the only team that's really selling, and the two teams that we were looking at that really make the most sense right now, obviously the Florida Panthers with Barkov being out, but we saw guys talking about it last night at their ring ceremony that Barkov's not even on crutches or anything, and he's going to miraculously heal from this injury.
He just was determined. He is on the crutches, but he refused to wear them walking up the stairs, which I think is
so he teased us.
Really impressive. Like that, like that's tough. That's a man. That's an alpha male. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and just like point being, I mean, do you see Evgeny Malkin landing somewhere this year outside of Florida or Tampa Bay? Like, he's going to be a guy that a lot of eyes are on, especially if one center and the top two lines for any team get hurt. I think every sign of Evgeny Malkin will point to said team. But how long does Pittsburgh wait until they make this move? Like, I feel like he's going to be a guy who should be dealt before the Olympics, you would think.
Well, I think this, number one, does Malkin want to do it? He's always said he's going to finish in Pittsburgh, right? So, and he's got control over the situation. So I think it would have to be, it would have to be Malkin agreeing to it. Number two, I always kind of look at it this way. Florida's got to declare, they got to be, with the new rules this year, Malkin's salary will be an impediment to a team like Florida unless they're Chuck's coming back. And you're right, looking at Barkov last night, he sure looks like he's coming back this year, or at least we can't write him off yet. Like, one thing that's happened is when Vegas filed their opening night roster last night, they listed Pietrangelo as out for the year. He is officially declared, with Pietrangelo and the NHLPA's approval, that he cannot come back this year, regular season or playoffs. So now Vegas knows they have the full Pietrangelo cap relief. Florida doesn't have that at this point in time. They have not declared Barkov out for the year. So, so number one, does it even work? I mean, you can always make it work if you really want to work. But number two, I've always believed with Malkin, he's been adamant that he's only going to play for Pittsburgh, or he just wants to stay for Pittsburgh. Is he going to change that? The other thing too is Pittsburgh's trying to get a sale done here. I've always wondered, how would a new owner feel? You come in, you buy the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the first things you're doing are trading Malkin and Crosby. I got to say, if I was a new owner, I don't know if I would be in a rush to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if the only people that have the cachet to do that would be if Lemieux and what was his partner? I'm drawing a blank on the previous owner. That was always Lemieux's partner, right? Maybe they're the only ones with the cachet to do that.
I don't think it's gonna be them. Like, right now, there's another group in there, the Hoffman family, and I think they're in an exclusive window right now, Colby. So I think they're trying to close it.
Got it. Well, look, Elliotte, we're super grateful for your time. This is a huge add to our show to have you as a reoccurring guest this year. Our lineup will be you, and we'll have James Van Riemsdyk on the off weeks, who will be our regular player contributor this year. So we've got a stacked lineup for everyone this year. And Elliotte, it's been awesome having you join us this week, and we'll look forward to having you not the next week, but the week after. It's a huge addition for us, so we're grateful for your time.
Well, I'm glad to be on, and hopefully, I mean, Van Riemsdyk will be good. So I know I have to step it up on the weeks he's not on. So I hope to deliver, and I'm really looking forward to being on with you guys the rest of the year. Thanks a lot.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cup of Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon, and stick around for the Sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.